Python is one of the emerging programming languages. According to the most recent figures, Python is the most used coding language for about 80% of developers. Syntax of this high-level programming language is simple to understand, and Python's large library system makes it a best choice for data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence projects. So hello learners, welcome to Simplilearn's YouTube channel, and today we will be creating a Tic Tac Toe game using Python. But before we begin, if you love watching tech videos, subscribe to our channel, like the tutorial, and hit the bell icon to never miss an update. And before starting, let us have a simple quiz question to brush up on our knowledge. And our question is, in which year was the Python 3.0 version developed? And your options are 2008, 2000, 2010, or 2005. Please answer in the comment section below and we'll update the correct answer in the pinned comment. You can pause the video, give it a thought, and answer in the comment section. And I have an insightful for you guys. If you are focused on building strong foundational skills for career growth, in that case, you can check out a free course to learn Python basics with a completion certification from Skillup by Simplilearn. You can check the Python basics free Skillup course with the link. I will give the link in the description below. Now, we'll start with the tutorial. The first thing we will do is create a folder. We'll go to Python projects and here we will create a folder for Tic Tac Toe. And inside we'll open a command prompt and open our IDLE, and I would be using the Visual Studio Code. So for that I have written a command that is code space period. So it will open my IDLE, that is Visual Studio Code. And before starting, I will show you guys what we are going to develop or what we are going to create as a tic-tac-toe game. Now we'll first see the demo of what we will create. So this is our code and we'll just run it, and you can see this is our tic-tac-toe game, that is we have made it using Python, and this is a restart button to restart the game, that is if you are playing and if you win, so you can just click on restart and you can restart the game. And this thing indicates that whose turn it is now. So x turn now 0 x 0 x 0 x 0 x. So you got a tie, so it would be displayed here, and if someone wins it will also be displayed here, and if it's a tie the whole box would be turned to yellow color. So these are the functionings, and now we'll move to create our own game. So we have created a folder and named it as tic-tac-toe. Now we will create a file and name it as tic.py, and inside this file we will start our coding. And first thing we should do is import the packages, and you have to install the packages. I have already installed the packages, and if you face any issues while installing, just comment down and we will get back to you. And Tkinter is a Python module that is already installed as a module when you install the Python, so you don't have to install it again. So we will be using Tkinter only and the random library. So for Tkinter we will import it and write the command from Tkinter import all the classes, that would be import asterisk, and the second module we would import is random, so we'll import random. You could see the commands to install them on the web, or you could just simply type pip install random and the module would be installed. You could either write this command on command prompt on the IDLE, that is in the terminal. You can write it and you can get the commands modules installed. So as I told you, Tkinter is a Python module that is used to develop GUI, graphical user interface, and there's no need to install any module as it is already installed as a part of the standard Python library. So moving on, now we will create a Tkinter window, and for that we'll write a small command that would be window equal to tk, that is we have created the Tkinter object, and we'll write window dot main loop. So it's a loop that would keep on repeating, and it will help us to display a Tkinter window. So we'll first save this and run the file. So we have our Tkinter window here. This is a Tkinter window. We'll run it again. You can see that we have created a Tkinter window, and now in this window we'll add the widgets and the elements to create our own tic-tac-toe Python game. And starting with title, first we'll give the title to this Tkinter window, and we'll give it as tic-tac-toe game only. So for that we'll write the command window dot title, and inside we'll give the title that would be tic tac toe. So this would be the title. We'll save it and run it. So you could see that this is the title, and currently the window is resizable. You could see there's arrow coming, so you can expand it at any side. So like in the further tutorial we would mark it as not resizable, that is we would prohibit from resizing the window. And the next command we would be writing would be configure, to configure the configuration of the window, that is we can change the color or configure anything. So here we would configure and change the color of the background. Window.configure, and we'll use background equal to gray. We'll save this and run it. You could see that the background of the window has been changed to gray. Now we'll set the geometry of the window, that is how much the length and width it should have, that is width and height it should have. So we'll use window.geometry, and inside in inverted commas we will set the width, that is the first parameter that is passed its width, and after that x, the small x, and then the height of the window. So we'll save this and run it. You could see that the geometry has been changed, and the width is 1000 and the height is 700 pixels. Now we would make it unresizable, that is we will prohibit from resizing the window. So for that we'll write the command window.resizable, and we would mark it as false, false, and save it and run it for you guys. Now you could see that if I hover over the edges of the window, you won't be able to see the pointer that expands the window. So it has made it non-resizable. Now we will create a tic-tac-toe game, and we need a cross and a zero. So for that we will create a variable and name it as players, and inside that in the square brackets we will mark them as X and the other as capital O, that would count as 0 only. And now we have imported the random function, and whose turn will it come? So that would be the random thing only. For that we'd use the random and the choice function. For that we'll create a variable player and use the random module and call its function, that is choice, and pass the player's variable so that it could choose X or 0, and and provide us with the output like who can start first. So now we would be creating, as this is our code, you could see the output. So now we would be creating these buttons. So these all are buttons. So to create them, we will write buttons equal to, and inside the square bracket we would provide three zeros, and after a comma we would provide another three zeros, and after another comma we would provide another three zeros. And now we have created those buttons, but it won't be displayed. As if I just save it and run it for you guys, you could see this window only. There's no output as I have not displayed anything. So first we will create a frame. So frame is a widget that can hold any image or any label or any widget on it. So we would be creating a top frame. That is, if I show you the output, so this is the top frame, this blue color. We will create the top frame, and on that frame we would set the heading and then the button, that is the restart game, and then these turn widgets. So for that, first we'll create the top frame, and we'll create a variable top underscore frame and use the frame widget, and inside the widget we would pass the window. As in the window we would be creating this frame, so we pass the window, and we'll set the background color for this frame, and that is the blue color, and we'll write the color in the hexacode. You could write in hexacode or you could just write the name of the color. So I know the hexacode for this 5D 6D, and it's showing green, but 7E. Yeah, this is the color that would be displayed on the frame. And after the background color, comma, after this background color we would set the width and height of this frame. Width, that would be 1000 only. We want this frame to be of whole size to cover the whole window in the top section, and after that we will set its height, and that we will set as 250. Height is 250, and now we will place this frame. This is the main thing, that is the geometry options which Tkinter provides. So when we place this, then it would be displayed on the Tkinter window. So we would place this top underscore frame dot place, and we would place it as x equal to 0 and y equal to 0. Now we'll save this and run this. So you could see this is our Tkinter window and this is our top frame. And we'll create a bottom frame also. But before that, we will give it the title, that would be the game title, as Tic Tac Toe using Python. So for that, we will create a variable game underscore title, and inside this we will create a label, and the label would be placed on the top frame. So we'll pass the top frame first, and then we would set the background color, and we would set the same background color as of the top frame only. So hash 5D 6070, 5D 6070. Now we have set the background color. Now we want the foreground color. So that indicates which color the title should be. So we would set the color of the title as foreground equal to white, and we could write the name of the color, or you can use the hexacode. Hexacode for white color is hashtag 6 times F. And now text, that would be the heading. So we would set the text equal to tic tac toe using Python. Okay, now we would set the font for the title. So for that we would write font equal to, and in circular brackets we would just use the default font and then place comma and the font size that we have set it as 48. And now we have set the game title, but now we have to place it so that it could be displayed. So for that you write the command game underscore title dot place, and inside we would pass the x coordinate. X we will have would be 135 and y equal to 0. And it's showing a error as we have not placed comma after text. Yeah, it's not showing error now. We'll save this and run it. So you can see guys that inside this window we have our title, that is tic tac toe using Python. Now moving on, we will create another label, and that label would be for turns. That we have seen that below the restart game we have the text that shows whose turn it is. So for that we'll create a label and use the label widget inside the label variable only, and we'll pass top frame because we want this label on the top frame only, and we'll set text equal to player plus turn it is, and now we'll set the font, and that would be equal to, inside the circular braces we would name the font Arial, and we have to place it in inverted commas, and now we would set its font size, that is 30, and set the background color, and we'll set the background color as same of the top frame, that is hashtag 5D67E 5D67E. Okay, and now we'll set the foreground color. Okay, this bracket was of font, we'll close it here and remove this bracket, and after the background color we will define the foreground color. So for which color those turns would be displayed. So foreground color would be equal to white. And now we would place this label so that it could be displayed. Label dot place, and we'll place it at x equal to 440 and y equal to 200. Okay, and it's showing a error, so we'll see what we have skipped. We have not placed a comma here, so we will save this and run it. So you could see the x turn here. So we'll add a functioning to it. So now we would be creating a reset button now, and for that we'll create a variable reset underscore button and use the button widget, that is button, and that would be placed in the top frame. So we'll pass top underscore frame, and the text we want to give to the button, that would be restart game. And now we would set the font, for which font the button should have, what fonts the button should have. So font equal to, in circular brackets we would place Arial and set the font size, that is 30, and then set background color equal to, that would be the same as of the top frame, that is 5D 60 70. And after the background color we would set the foreground color and we'll set it as white only. And after the foreground color we would place this reset button, but button has a command also. So command is something which gives the function to a button, and we will define this function and we'll name it as new game, so that it would reset the whole game. We would define this function, that is the new game, and inside the next line we will place this button, that is reset underscore button dot place, and we will place it as x equal to 360 and y equal to 95. So we have placed the reset button. Now we will create a bottom frame. So in that we would have the structure of our game, that is the 9 boxes. So we'll create a variable and named as bottom frame and create a frame widget, and inside that frame we would pass window, as it would be creating on the window, and then set its background color. So F would be capital for the frame, and set the background color, and we'll set the background color for it as white only. Now we would set the foreground color, that is white, and set a command. No, bottom frame don't have anything na. So for bottom frame we would just create a frame and we would pass the window, and we would set the background color as white, and we would set width and height for it. Width would be 400 and height, that would also be 400. We will create a square box for tic tac toe buttons, and now we will place this frame. So to place it we would write bottom underscore frame dot place, and we would pass x equal to 265 and y equal to 300. So we would place it, and now we'll save it and I'll run it for you guys. So first it wants us to create these functions. After that only we could execute this window or see the output of the window. So now we will move to create these functions only, and we'll create it just beneath this. And the first function we would create would be the next turn. First I will write the function, and after that I will explain you its functionality. So we will pass row and column here and place the colon, and here we will make a global variable and name it as player, and here we would use if buttons, that is we would place those buttons that as a, I will show you. So we'll place these buttons as grid only, so it would have row and column. We won't place it, we would set it as grid. So we would set it as row equal to 0 and column equal to 0, row equal to 0, column equal to 1, row equal to 0, column equal to 2. So this is how we gonna set this. So if buttons row column, and the next the text, that is equal to t, and we will create a function and name it as check winner, that is check underscore winner, that is false, and inside if player is equal to player 0, that is the initial player, then buttons that is row column, and I think before creating this function, that is next turn, first we should declare all the cases in which a person can win. So for that also we will create a function and name it as check winner, that is we have declared here. So first we'll define this function only, check underscore winner, and inside first we will run a loop for row in range, and that is 3, and inside if buttons, that is row 0, and its text, side is text, and that is equal to buttons row 1, and what text it has, and is equal to buttons row, and inside text and it's not equal to empty. That is what we have done here is, if you see, so we have stated that if row 0, that is the first row 0 and the column 0 is equal to row 0 and the column 1 and the row 0 and the column 2, and it's not equal to empty, and if they all are equal, then we would give it a green color. Buttons row 0 dot config, and inside we'll pass background equal to green. So we will give it a green color, and where it goes, yeah, here. So we have seen the first row. If the first row and all the three elements, that is all the three columns, have the same, that is x or 0, so it would be turned out as green. All the three would be turned as green. So all the three buttons would be set as green. Buttons row 1 dot config, and set its background as green. Dot config, and set the background as green. Okay, and it would return true. So we have seen one possibility. Now we would see another possibility, that is a winner could be this way, or it could be the column way, or like we have run a loop, that is for range 0, that is the for first row, then the row would be changed to 1, then this row, then this row. So all these rows are completed. Now we would run a loop so that we could check the columns. So for that we would run a loop for column in range 3 and write a if statement, that is if buttons, that is 0 and that is the row 0, and check the column. So column would be dynamic here, and pass text, and that is equal to buttons, and the row 1 and the column, that would be variable, and inside we will pass text equal to then buttons, and this row is second, that is the third row, but index is third, and set the column and inside text, and that is not equal to empty colon. So these columns would also be turned into green. So for that we'll write buttons 0 column dot config and configure with background color that is equal to green. Okay, now I'll copy this, paste it here, and paste it in the next line, that is the next column and the next column. So it would be turned out to be green, and after that it should return true. So we have covered these possibilities. Oh, sorry, these possibilities. Now we'll come have the possibility of the diagonals. So for that we will mm, create a if statement only. If, as we don't require any loop here, if buttons, that is 0 0 inside text, that is buttons 1 1, and that is equal to buttons, that is 2 2, and that is not equal to empty colon. Then these buttons, that is, would turn green. 0 0 dot configure and set the background color as green. Okay, and return true. And if this is not the possibility, we will cover the second diagonal, that is LF, and inside we'll just copy this and state the other diagonal, that would be 0 2 1 1 and 2 0. So for that you would write 0 2, and the next is 1 1, and the next one is 2 0. It's not equal to empty, and it these all three would also be configured as green if they all are equal. 1 1 2 0. After that it should return true. Okay. Now I will cover another possibility, that is elif, and for that I will create a function that is empty spaces is false. So first we will create the empty spaces function only, and after that we will create this elif statement. So for that we will write empty underscore spaces. And inside we will define, that is all the spaces and that is equal to 9. And now we'll run a loop. It should, like, it's not closed now. It's okay, we'll close it. Now we'll run a loop for row in range 3, and now for column in range 3, and now we'll use if statement, that is if buttons, that is we would check every row and column text here is not empty, then we would subtract from the spaces another if statement, that is if spaces turn out to be 0, then it should return false, else return true. Okay, now we have defined the empty spaces. Now we'll complete this elif statement, that is for this if the empty spaces is false, that is if all has been covered. If space is equal to 0, there is no space left and it has returned false. So what we will do is first we'll create a loop for row in range 3. Now for column in range 3. So we will turn the whole box as yellow. So for that buttons row column use square brackets row column dot config, and we'll configure background color equal to yellow, and we will return tie, that is if all the boxes are filled and it doesn't satisfy these if statements, that is there is no consistent x or 0 in row or column or in diagonals, then we would turn it as tie. So we'll return it return tie. and would make the T capital. And now we will place the else statement, that is return false. Okay, now we have split all the facilities and the spaces. Now we'll complete our function, that is the next turn, and we have to create another function, that is the new game. So in the new game function, we will decide who will have the first turn. So first we will define this function only, that is new game. And inside we will set variable as global player, and player equal to random dot choice. We have done this in Windows also. And we'll configure the label here that we have created, that is this label. We will configure it and change its text, label dot configure, and change its text, that is equal to player, that we have chosen from the random module and use the choice function. So it would choose either X or either 0. Player plus, and now whose turn it is. Okay, now we will run a for loop for row in range 3 and for column in range 3. We would set buttons row column dot configure, and would set the text as empty for the new game, and background color, that is equal to f0 f0 f0. I have used the execute, so I have to use hash, that is white, or you could use the hexacode for white as hashtag 6f. Okay, so we have declared, defined and declared. Okay, three problems in this. We will resolve them. So we have declared the new game function, and moving on, what we are left is next turn. So now we'll complete that. What only is we have an if statement, and if player equal to player 0, that is the first player. So buttons column, and it's text what will enter equal to player. And if check winner is false, then player equal to player 1. The turn would be shifted to another player. Okay. Now if check winner is false, that is if there is no player, so player would be shifted to player 1. And now we'll change the label, that is this would be changed, that is label.config, and we would change it as, first we would set a text here, that would be text equal to the player turn would be changed. For that we'll write text equal to from the players, we would now the turn has changed, and another case, that is else if the winner is true, and if the winner is true, what we'll do, we will change the label, we will configure it and change the text equal to players 1, and it wins. And we will have another condition, elif check underscore winner, that is if it's equal to tie, then we'll change the label, we'll configure it and set text equal to tie, okay. So now we have now we check, okay, this would be player 1, it's true, to be player 0 if he wins. Now we'll have a else condition, that is in else we would be having all the other possibilities that we are left, and here we would start with the player 1, and else if buttons, that is row column, and the text enter is equal to player agar means that it's equal to player, then if check winner is false, if there is no winner currently, then player is equal to player 0, and we would configure the label, that is label.config, and set text equal to, and set player 0, and would set its turn. And elif, else if that is check winner is true, then label.config, that if he's the winner, then we'll change the text, that is equal to player 1, and it wins. Yeah. Text equal to player 1 wins. Okay. Now we have another else if statement, that is if check winner is equal to tie, then we'll configure this label and set the text equal to tie. So we have declared all the functions. Now what are the problems facing? Okay, now we will set the buttons in the frame so that it should be displayed. For that, we will run the loops, that is for row in range 3, now for column in range 3, and now we would set them buttons row column, that is equal to, we'll declare them as button and inside first we'll pass the bottom frame as we want them to be in the bottom frame, and then we'll define text as empty and set the font as Arial and set the font size as 40. Now we'll set the width and height, that is comma. We'll set the width of one button equal to 5 and height equal to 1, and set the command that would be lambda row equal to row and column equal to column. Row equal to row, column equal to column, and our function that is next turn, and we'll pass the row and column here. This n is 4. Okay, we have passed it. Now we would use the grid geometry function to place it. So now we would place it buttons, row, column, dot grid, and we'll pass row equal to row and column equal to column. So we are done with the project. Now we will run it. Okay, so there's an error. It's showing error. There's no error. Okay, so we'll save this and run it. So you can see that we have a tic tac toe game and there is no space here. We'll place it, and it's also not showing functionality here. We'll just make it correct. So first we'll go to label, play plus turn, make a space here. So you could see the space has turned on. Now we will see why the text is not inserting in it. Okay. Yeah, I'm not. This is correct. And okay, we have sent the text and the font. Okay, it's correct. So we'll just run it again. So yeah, the functionality is working fine. Okay, yeah, restart game. No, all the things are fine. So we are done with our project, and with that we have come to the end of this session. And I have an insightful for you guys. That is, if you are aiming to get certified in Python programming and want to build a Python software development career, in that case you can check this Python certification course by Simplilearn, which will open the doors for the best career opportunities. To find the details, you can check this course link in the description box below. I hope the session was interesting and informative. And if you liked it, please let us know in the comment section below. And also do subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for more from Simplilearn.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.